and welcome to another instalment from us here at Essential RC. Today we have another model from Flywing. This is the FW450 V2 helicopter with the H1 autopilot GPS control system. All very clever technology. Software does take a bit to get your head around, as you might have seen in the Flywing Bell 206 scale helicopter video that I recently did, but I feel like I know my way around it now, so hopefully this one should be a bit quicker to set up. So we'll do a little unboxing of that. I've got my trusty digital pitch gauge, very important to get helicopters accurately set up, so that will be invaluable, I'm sure. Going to be pairing it to my Futaba 14SG transmitter, so we'll show you how to do that as well. And even if you're not using this particular transmitter, still fairly useful to know because it will work out with most transmitters. So if you've got Spectrum, as long as it can support the H1 flight controller, if you've got the Radio Master TX16S, basically any transmitter, if you follow the same sort of route, you'll end up with the same result, because unlike a lot of helicopters where you have to do all of the programming, the pitch collective, the throttle curves, all that sort of thing, you have to program that all in the transmitter. You don't have to do that with the H1 controller. The H1 controller does it all for you. So you actually tell the transmitter it's a plane, not a helicopter, but we'll run through that in more detail very shortly. Now, one thing to note, even with the P&P, the plug and play version that comes with their transmitter, it says that it is compatible with SFHSS S-Bus receivers. Now that is true of the H1 controller, not of the receiver that comes with the P&P version. It's just the controller unit that is compatible with the S-Bus receiver units. So to pair my Futaba transmitter with this particular one, we have my Futaba R2001 SB receiver. Nice tiny little unit, full range, S-Bus receiver. So that is all we should need to get me going on this. And again, we'll show you setup very shortly. Let's do the unboxing. Okay, so let's have a look how it comes in the box. I must admit I have had a cheeky little peek just to check it was in good order and good condition, everything was in there, but I'll put it back exactly how it comes to you. So this is the P&P version, not the ready to fly version, so it hasn't come with the transmitter. If you went for the P&P version, this is where your transmitter would be. Unlike the scale Bell 206 that I recently did, this one has kindly come with instructions, which will make life a lot easier. Got your 2 rotor blades there, carbon fibre, very, very nice. Here we have the tail boom with the GPS unit already pre-adhered on the back there, ready with the wire to be plugged into the GPS unit, the controller unit. Motor is already installed, all good to go. And then main body. Pop this out of here, very well packaged. So this is the white canopy version. So it gives you the option to paint it however you feel you would like it. Of course, you don't necessarily have to paint it. You could keep it as is, but you might struggle with visibility a little bit. Or you could put perhaps some decals on it and what have you to brighten it up a bit. So yeah, a few different choices. You've already got some decals on there, so if you did want to paint it, you'd need to peel those off. Let's have a look with the canopy shell off. The one thing I did notice when I first got this out of the box, this spur gear was dropped down here and the belt was sort of at an angle. I thought, well, that's a bit strange, so I double checked, and sure enough, as I pulled up and down on the head, it was all moving up and down, and that's because this collar in here had actually come loose, I assume maybe in the packaging, and that had moved. So I pulled it up, made sure that was in line, nothing binding, all still free spinning, and then I tightened the grub screw whilst holding it in position. So that was an easy fix. It may even be something they intentionally do whilst in transit, just in case the top of the box was to take an impact. At least that has then got some give, some float there, so no major there. Right, let's put it together. So, assembly of this helicopter couldn't really be any simpler. They've made the tail boom very plug and play. You see you've got the connector in there, which marries up nicely to the connector in there. So all we need to do is slot it in. Make sure this red handle here is unscrewed, and then slot it in position. Obviously GPS unit facing up, line up the connector and push. Well, that was easy. And then just need to tighten that up. Won't need to be hugely tight. We'll just go until we feel a level of resistance, which I'm feeling there. That's pretty solid. I think that's all we'd need to do. And then got to take our GPS cable. Where is it? There it is. That one there, and that plugs into the box, the controller, just there. If I can line it up. A bit difficult to do with me trying to see and making sure that you can see as well. There we go, she's in. Let's give it a gentle pull, make sure it's not going to come out. Yep, that's solid. Good, good. Right, then this is probably the stage. We won't put the rotor blades on just yet because we've got a lot of setup to do. We don't want these whirling around and causing us injury. So yeah, we'll leave it as that for now. I now am at the stage where I need to install my receiver and plug it in here. And then we can start doing the setup. Now, most of the setup for this helicopter is actually on the software on the computer itself, but we can go into the transmitter first and create a program ready to accept it. So we'll do that next. Okay, so the Flywing FW450 V2. Might remember I was planning on putting it on my Futaba 14SG transmitter. Unfortunately, I stumbled into a bit of a problem there. The receiver that I was hoping to use was the R2001 SB S-Bus receiver. Couldn't use that because whilst it is S-Bus and it does work, it was only 8 channel. Now this helicopter is only 8 channel, but annoyingly, why they done this I don't know, but in the H1 controller it requires a 9th channel, so it doesn't use channel 6, but it does use channel 9. Now I was hoping to just be able to assign channels and get around that, but no, unfortunately I couldn't. Also I had a bit of a problem with that receiver. It kept binding and debinding, and so yeah, lost faith in that. So my only option, if I wanted to use my Futaba 14SG, would be to use a 7008 SB receiver, which is £85 worth of receiver. That's quite a lot of money. So I do have some of those in my other models, but I'm getting a bit reluctant now to spend that kind of money. So for now I've bound it to the transmitter that came with the Bell 206, which hopefully you've seen that video. But future plans coming up, another review we'll be doing soon, the Radiomaster TX16S. This is a far more versatile transmitter. I've been a Futaba fan for many years, but I think I'm getting forced to swap now. Futaba I'm just finding too limiting. The amount of receivers that are available, the cost of them. So yeah, this is far more versatile, more cost effective, multi-protocol, can connect to multiple models. So yeah, I think that'll be the answer, but that's coming up in another video very soon. So the FW450 V2L, yeah, really impressed with this. As always with the Flywing software, you have to program it. It doesn't fly out of the box. They do test fly them. They are all pre-set up and pre-test flown, but then you have to obviously bind it to your transmitter, or even if you've bought the ready to fly one that comes with the transmitter, you still have to go into the software, adjust the parameters, make sure your GPS is calibrated, do the dance. I'll probably do a more in-depth video at some point of the H1 controller and the GPS unit, because I know a lot of people are having various different issues with it. So I think I can help there with all the troubles that I've had. I've learned the software inside out and back to front now, so I got quite good at it. So yeah, really clever tech. Couple of mods that I made. So I found the canopy was sort of flopping around a bit, so what I've done under the nose there, stuck on a bit of sponge, bit of hard foam, just epoxied it on, and that just takes up the slack of the canopy and stops it moving around. Centre of gravity wise, I find the back edge of the battery lined up with the back edge of that square of carbon there. That seems to work for me on this particular heli. I'm using the Flywing 4S high voltage 450 milliamp hour Lipo that does come with the ready to fly version, or you can purchase them separately as well. What else can I say about it? So yes, I did also have this issue when I was setting this up. See lots of videos of it very locked in and very stable, almost barely moving. I just couldn't achieve that. It was okay on the roll axes, but on the pitch axes it just wouldn't settle. It kept rocking backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. And I tried everything. I made sure the blades were in correct pitch. I adjusted the centre of gravity. I calibrated the GPS multiple times. And yeah, I just couldn't get it right. I was playing around with tail gain, different percentages, different head speeds, a mix of each. And then I got in contact with Flywing. And also I must give a shout out as well to Ali Shanmao. Ali, we'll put a link to his YouTube channel in the video. He's been fantastic as well. He's done a really good review on this helicopter as well, and he's been giving me some pointers how to get this flying correctly as well. So big shout out to him. Thank you, Ali. Yeah, so what I discovered in the end, raise the head speed. So initially I had the head speed set at 80%, which should be enough. But by increasing that to 92% and a tail gain of 65%, I found that's a pretty good sweet spot so far. It's much more locked in, more stable. Flying it today, it's been very windy in the back garden, so it has been struggling a little bit, but you know, very impressive really, the GPS, how well it can hold it in the wind. Yeah, did a bit of inverted flying, so I'm getting quite good at that now. Alright, I might have had a little bit of help with the auto invert feature. Alright, a lot of help with the auto invert feature. But yeah, that's a really cool trick that for impressing your friends. You just flick the switch and it auto inverts for you. And you have two options when you set that up. You can have it professional or easy. Now that dictates how the controls operate. So normally with a helicopter, when you go upside down, all of the controls are reversed. You have to reverse your brain and do the opposite of everything you're thinking about. which is very, very challenging, which is one of the reasons it's so difficult to fly a helicopter upside down. But if you put it in easy mode, then it automatically flips inverted for you, and whilst it's inverted, all of the controls are the same as it would be when it's up the right way. So it makes it a lot easier to impress your friends, show off, pretend you're this guru of helicopters all of a sudden. So yeah, that's a really nifty trick. Anyway, I need to cut this video short because I need to go and mow the lawn. Where's the lawn mower? It's down there. It's going to be a bit of a pain to get out. You thinking what I'm thinking? Let's go give it a fly. So there we go, that was the flight of the Flywing FW450L V2 helicopter with the H1 GPS autopilot system. Don't have a lot of room in the back garden, as you can appreciate, so I couldn't do anything too dramatic, but a couple of pirouettes, bit of inverted playing, nice little hovering round. I wasn't brave enough to try the auto circle or the auto figure 8 modes. That's where, again, you can flick a switch and it'll automatically fly in those circuits for you. Didn't feel I had enough space away from trees to operate that, so I opted not to do that today. But yeah, when we're out of lockdown again, we can get down the flying field. I'm sure we'll break this out again and do a more impressive flight with it, hopefully. One other point worth noting as well, I won't go through all of the H1 software again on this occasion. I went into a bit of depth with it with the Bell 206, but as I say, I might do a more in-depth video of just that software and the H1 unit on their own at some point to give a real good lesson how to learn, how to program and how to resolve issues as well, because I know there are a lot of people out there having issues with the system. But I've also recently discovered that Flywing actually have a Facebook group, the Flywing H1 Facebook group. So you jump on there and then there's lots of people on there. I'm very active on there trying to help people as well. And yeah, you can post up there any issues that you're having, and hopefully others have had the same issues and can help you resolve them as well. But yes, I will just mention very quickly that remember, in the software, the low voltage return to home. Very, very important this. It was a stumbling block for me on the Bell 206, crashed it many a times. With the low voltage return to home, you have to set it much lower than what you would think, because batteries under load and in cold weather will bog down. So don't set it at the recommended 3.6 or 3.7. Ideally you want to put a watt meter on there with the battery at 3.8 volts. Fire it up, go flat out, full pitch, straight up, then bring it back down, land it, check on your watt meter what that voltage was under load, and then divide that voltage by how many cells you have. So for example here I've got a 4S, so I would divide that by 4. The voltage that you get from there is the one that you'd want to put in the low voltage return to home. If you put 3.6 or 3.7, it will constantly try to return to home. You won't understand what's going on, like I didn't. You try and fight it and it'll crash. So personally, I just turn that mode off. So yeah, and one other thing that I will just quickly mention, because I know I'll get the question, flight time. Now again, on the website there's these fantastical claims of 20 minutes flight time. Maybe in ideal conditions with a freshly charged pack in nice warm summer conditions. Not at the moment though. So what I'm currently achieving, I had a 7-minute flight just now with the throttle percentage set at 92%, tail gain 65%, and that 7-minute flight, when I landed, I had 3.9% left in the battery. So I would probably play it safe. I wasn't doing much at all in the back garden. You'll probably do a lot more out in the field, strain the battery more. I would probably set a timer of 5-6 minutes. That's more than enough time to have fun, and especially if you're turning off that low voltage return to home feature, then you know you're safe and you've got enough battery to get you back. I did accidentally fly the helicopter a bit too long. Unfortunately, it does actually kind of warn you. The voltage, as it was getting a bit low, audibly heard the head speed drop. So then I thought, all right, okay, let's land. And yeah, sure enough, when I landed, I think it was 3.4%, so very quickly put that back on charge. So yeah, just be sensible with your timers. So yeah, thanks for joining us again, and we see you in the next one. Don't forget to hit subscribe, hit that bell, and give us a like as well. Always helps. Cheers, and see you in the next one.